On everyone. So ever since Jordan Clarkson decided to not sign a contract extension with Utah Jazz, it's begged the question of should Utah end up trading Jordan Clarkson. Obviously, they had plans for him. They wanted him for the long haul. He has actually been really good and great for Utah this season, making the transition from the bench to starting unit, and has really kind of elevated his game for Utah and been one of the big bright spots. And of course, a big question is, should Utah and the Lakers re-engage in some type of trade discussions? Utah would be better off just trying to tank for the bottom at this point. They had this just surprising start to beginning their season, and since then have came back into reality and basically been the team that many people thought that they were going to be. This, tanking team. They have some nice young talent, but for the most part, unload all your vets, do everything you need to do, and go and tank for Victor Wembanyama. And instead, Utah tried to get greedy and made some foolish decisions, in my opinion, by Danny Ainge. And he had a real opportunity to pull off some real trades to basically ensure that they tank. And instead, he decided not to do it, traded Bojan Bogdanovic for Kelly Olynyk, essentially, and then ended up, shooting for the stars. And now they're coming back down to reality. And that's a real problem for Utah. So maybe Utah could kind of rectify and change what they should have done from the beginning. The problem is now teams aren't going to really be willing to help the way that they might have been in the offseason, especially the Lakers. The Lakers still do make some sense to maybe potentially work out some trade. Jordan Clarkson is a player that comes to mind. I'm still personally not very big on Jordan Clarkson as a Laker. He's doing what he's doing, which is great. Shooting 36% from three. He's shooting 45% from the field. But he's kind of the guy, right? Like, he's kind of like the one dude on that team right now. So he kind of has that capability where he's not going to have that with the Lakers. Now, he could be a sixth man, maybe work something out to unload Russell Westbrook and get back several pieces, get multiple pieces. Jordan Clarkson, I'm sure, would love to return to the Lakers. It's a spot that he seemed to enjoy and didn't really want to leave in the beginning. And now, with not being in Utah any longer, we'll see how that situation works out. Maybe he'd be willing and open to have a return in a Lakers uniform. But if you're going to make that trade, I still have a lot of concerns and questions with Jordan Clarkson. Like, when he's on, he's on. Don't get me wrong, right? He's a guy that his whole career, when he is knocking down shots and being aggressive and playing great, he is great. But it's the lack of consistency at times is a real issue for me, the lack of defense. And he's just kind of been like a head case this season, right? He's like trying to fight everybody. He's just kind of like making just dirty plays. I don't know if it's just the environment of Utah and it's just frustration or what, but he's kind of been a bit of a knucklehead this season. So that might be something to stay away from. Now, ideally, you'd love to get Jared Vanderbilt, right? Go get Jared Vanderbilt in any type of trade. In that case, I'd probably be willing to give up a first-round pick. I probably would give up a first-round pick. If you could get like Jordan Clarkson, Vanderbilt, and maybe like Beasley, if you could go with those three, I think you give up a first-round pick. I wouldn't give up both first because, like I said, there's still a lot of questions. Like, Beasley has been solid, but he's not great by any means, although I think he could be better on a Lakers team. Vanderbilt is like the real prize. And then Jordan Clarkson, there's a lot of questions with him, right? Is can he continue this production? If especially on the Lakers, if he's the third, fourth guy on the Lakers, is he a guy that can, stay consistent throughout? Is he going to want to stay there? All of those questions, right? But if you could get Jared Vanderbilt, like, that would just be beautiful. I mean, just his capabilities on both sides of the basketball. He's still very young with lots of room to grow. But if we're being honest, I don't really see Utah wanting to trade Vanderbilt. I don't see, because I've had a lot of people throw out, like, what about Lauri Markkanen? I do not see that at all. Lauri Markkanen is like their face of the team for the next several seasons. And even if they were willing to trade Lauri Markkanen, we would get outbid so easily. There's so many teams that would give up quite a bit to go get Lauri Markkanen that the Lakers just wouldn't be able to keep up. Like, they could probably do another Rudy Gobert type trade for Lauri Markkanen. So if they were going to do that, I didn't even want to mention him or show him or bring him up because I just don't think he's a realistic option. But Jared Vanderbilt very well might be. Maybe you can kind of convince them, like, hey, you got Lauri Markkanen. Vanderbilt, is he going to be willing to be okay off the bench for a while? You got to pay him. Like, what's your plan? What are you going to do? Maybe you can, talk some sense into Utah to maybe unload him. But realistically, again, I don't really see that. Now, that of course brings up like Rudy Gay and Mike Conley. I'm not really big on Rudy Gay and Mike Conley, if I'm being honest. I think Rudy Gay could be a great fit next to LeBron and AD, but I just think we need more than just him, right? And unless you're getting Vanderbilt or something to take on his salary and stuff, although it's not fully guaranteed next season, but still, you're still taking on salary. I think you'd have to get Vanderbilt. I'd stay away from that. But if like maybe you could get like say Beasley, Clarkson, and maybe another piece. Like I said, ideally Jared Vanderbilt. Like if you could get Clarkson, Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt for like, Russ a first in like 2 seconds or something, I would do that in a heartbeat. I wouldn't trade both first for it, but these three guys are still young enough. Like Beasley's still very young. Clarkson, even he's only 30 still. And then Vanderbilt is still very young. So you get basically three guys that could be here for the foreseeable future, which is what the Lakers need, right? The Lakers need not only that bench production, rotation guys, starting level talent, but you also need guys that can be here longer than this season. So if you could do that, then maybe you could go take Kendrick Nunn, right? Because now you're getting Beasley and Clarkson, who are both bigger guards, right? They're both kind of shooting guards. But you could take like Kendrick Nunn and package that and maybe the 2 seconds, go get Cam Reddish. So now you got like Vanderbilt and Reddish as like your two forward spots for the foreseeable future. That would be fantastic. And then maybe take Walker, because now you got Beasley and Clarkson, so Walker becomes a little more expendable. Maybe you could take like Walker and Patrick Beverly, and then that other first, and go get Bojan Bogdanovic. Like if you could do something like that, then I think the Utah trade would be worth it, right? Because you could have Jordan Clarkson be your starting shooting guard, or you could have him come off the bench and operate as that sixth man, which I think would be great. Beasley, vice versa, have him be your starting shooting guard, operate on the bench. Like you could have a starting five if you wanted to, of like, Dennis Schroeder, Beasley or Clarkson, Bojan, LeBron, and Davis. Or you could go, Vanderbilt, LeBron, AD as the front court. I mean, it just would give you so much more flexibility. So if you could get that, I would do that in a heartbeat. If you can't get Vanderbilt, I don't know if I'm giving up a first for Jordan Clarkson and Beasley. Maybe you get Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk, floor spacing big, can play the 4 or the 5. He's shooting at a really good 3-point clip, so you could play him next to Anthony Davis, right? So you could have him and Anthony Davis play together. You could have him and Thomas Bryant play together. You could kind of use him and operate him in several ways. You could also use him in like mini sets, which they're running the Milwaukee Bucks offense, a variation of it, but yeah, essentially, so he could kind of operate as like your Brook Lopez kind of guy, which could be huge for the Lakers. So maybe you could get like Clarkson, Beasley, and Kelly Olynyk. But I don't really like that for a first. I think like the Spurs deal would be better. I think the Hornets deal would be better. I might even make the argument that Buddy Hield and Miles Turner might be better than this, as much as like I'm not very big on that trade at all. And you would get some production, right? Like you could again have a starting five of like, Schroeder, Beasley or Clarkson, Kelly Olynyk, LeBron, and Davis. That's something you could do. I don't know. It just it would give you some flexibility. It'd give you some options. I just don't think that that's worth an unprotected first. Granted, you could still, again, go get Bojan Bogdanovic. You could still, go get Cam Reddish. So maybe instead of Vanderbilt, like you're like, okay, well, we get Cam Reddish. You get these veteran guys that can come in. And now you have for the foreseeable future, you have like, you'd have like Beasley, Max Christie, Cam Reddish. Kelly Olynyk's still not old either, so he's still young enough to where you could have him for the next several seasons, and you kind of just put together these veteran guys. And I like Kelly Olynyk, right? He's a fundamental guy, hard-nosed, good passer, good shooter, just does a little bit of everything. So I would love Kelly Olynyk on the Lakers. And, of course, Jordan Clarkson, he's been playing great. He's been playing much better than past previous seasons. He's shooting better. He's more aggressive. He's shooting better in general, but also from three. But it's just his lack of consistency and just his mental this season. He seems to not really be just all there this season. It seems like he's just got like a million other things going on. But if you could get some combination of these four, if you get 3 out of the 4, again, ideally it would be, or if you could get all 4, I would take all 4. If you could work something out to where you get, all 4 and give up maybe a first and 2 seconds, right? That would be cool, right? Like if you could do like Russ and I don't know, like Kendrick Nunn or something like that, or Russ and maybe Lonnie Walker. Maybe they like Lonnie Walker and they're like, well, we'd rather have Lonnie Walker than Beasley. So like if you could do like Russ, Lonnie Walker, and you could get Kelly Olynyk, Jared Vanderbilt, Jordan Clarkson, and Malik Beasley, I would probably do that then. I would absolutely give up a first for that. I wouldn't give up both first, but I'd give up a first and 2 seconds or something like that. Give them like Chicago and this year's second. Do something like that. And then, again, you could still go get Cam Reddish if you wanted to because he's cheap and maybe go do the Boyan trade or whatever. But this would give you essentially 2 forward spots. It'd give you 2, shooting guards. And then you still have Schroeder. You'd still have LeBron. If you absolutely need another point guard because or you could just keep Patrick Beverley if you wanted to at that point. But if you absolutely need another point guard, you could always go and get like a DJ Augustine or something like that, or maybe a point guard gets bought out in the buyout market or something. That is a possibility. That's something that could happen too. And now you could just sign that point guard to come in and actually make a run at something. I just wanted to talk about this because it's something that I've seen people bring up. Like, what do I think about a Utah Jazz trade? Like, should the Lakers look in dealing with Utah? I don't think it's going to happen. If I'm being honest, I don't see Utah and the Lakers making any sort of deals just because Danny Ainge is not going to be reasonable. I mean, we already saw that. I mean, he literally sold Bojan Bogdanovic for a bag of chips just so he didn't have to trade him to the Lakers. So I don't see him saying like, oh, no, well, I'm going to give you a fair trade now. I just don't. I don't think he's going to trade. I don't think he's going to want to trade Vanderbilt, which Vanderbilt's the real prize. Like Jordan Clarkson and Beasley would be nice. Kelly Olynyk would be nice. Like those 3 would be nice, but I don't believe that's worth the first round, an unprotected first, in my opinion. I just think there's better trades that you could do. And at that point, you can almost make the argument that you're better off just waiting, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not like completely sold on that. I do think that it's a deal that makes us better. I do think it's a deal that could really help this team, but it's not my favorite is my point. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think? Would you do this deal? Would you not do the deal? What would you give up? Would you give up a first round pick? Would you not give up a first round pick? Would you give up both first round picks? What kind of combination, or would you want all 4? Like work out a deal to get all 4, or would you like Vanderbilt, Clarkson, and Beasley? Do you want Olynyk? Like maybe you want Olynyk rather than Vanderbilt. I just think, again, Vanderbilt, in my opinion, is the real prize. Just watching him play, especially on the defensive end, that kid is everywhere. Could you imagine him and Max Christie defensively for the next 10 years? That would be unbelievable. That'd be so good defensively. But anyway, those are my thoughts and opinions, and I'd love to hear yours. Let me know down in the comment section below.